first, so.
Awesome. Sounds good.
There we go.
It's Gitty Gang Show on Cigar Nation TV. It's the Gitty Gang Show on Cigar Nation TV. And we're coming to you live from CB Gitty. It's the Gitty Gang Show.
Gitty Gang Show.
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 It's the Gitty Gang Show on Cigar Box Nation TV.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to yet another Gitty Gang Show. It feels like only 2 days since we were last here on this stage, slightly different circumstances. Thank you to everyone who tuned in for our St. Patrick's Day show. I'll tell you what, that was the fastest that 2 hours have ever gone by, for me at least, on this show. I wish we could have gone for at least 2 more. But we've got a very special show for you today. We're through St. Patrick's Day. And now we have a special guest coming to us live via technical wizardry from New Orleans, Louisiana. His name is Brett Gardner, and he's an amazing musician. He has been building and playing cigar box guitars and homemade instruments for a good while now, and has been involved in the New Orleans Cigar Box Guitar Festival, I believe, since its inception. That's where I first met him, down there in New Orleans, and it's very, very good to have him on the show today, because of course tonight kicks off I believe what is the 5th year for a Cigar Box Guitar Festival in New Orleans. CB Gitty, very proud as always to help sponsor that event. They're kicking off tonight, a live streaming virtual festival, as it were. Brett and his band are going to be performing as part of the festival, and of course Samantha Fish and her band will be finishing up, I believe, both nights as the final act of the night, broadcasting live from the Chickawawa Music Club down there in, I believe, Mid-City, New Orleans. So we're going to bring just a couple of quick announcements. Of course, the festival, if you haven't already gotten tickets, you have to buy tickets to join in this live event. It is being hosted by mandolin.com, which is all set up for these kind of live ticketed streaming events. We've sent the link out many times so far, posted it on Facebook, sent it out in our newsletters. Plenty of time still to buy yourself a ticket so that you can tune in for that later tonight, and of course tomorrow. It should be one heck of a show. So without further ado, we want to make sure all of our visual and technological wizardry is working and bring Mr. Brett Gardner onto the screen there. Howdy, Brett. How you doing?
Hey Ben, how you doing? Thanks for
Hey.
having me on your show.
Glad to have you with us. Believe it's probably a little warmer down there in New Orleans where you are than it is here in New Hampshire.
It feels like winter right now. It's a little
Oh,
chilly outside.
what is
so
it?
we could
About-
put sweaters on.
Is it about 60 degrees probably? Terrible cold.
Yeah,
Terrible.
probably extremely cold.
Oh, I feel
the
for you.
roads are icy.
I feel for you. Well, the last time I was in New Orleans was the Great Freeze of, geez, what has that been? 2 years, 3 years? The ice and the freeze up, and they shut down the interstates, they shut down the airport. The only way I got into town was via Amtrak because the trains were still running. That was for the festival, I
Old
think.
reliable.
3 years ago. It was quite an adventure. So I want to start by kind of introducing you to the Cigar Box Nation world, I guess we could say. I know you've been posting on Friends of CB Gitty group and sharing your stuff, and we've shared some of your things to the Cigar Box Nation page. But how long have you been, when did you first discover cigar box guitars?
Well, before cigar box guitars, I got interested in just homemade, handmade, primitive instruments, especially from cultures from around the world.
Yeah.
That discovery was around 2013 or 14 for me, right when I was graduating college and needed a little bit of direction in my life. Backstory, I graduated with a physics degree, so as you can guess, I like to figure out how things work.
Nice, yeah.
So by getting into homemade instruments, I could combine my mind for engineering and physics with my passion, which was to play music. And
Now,
it's brought me all the way to today.
I've seen in some of the things you've posted, kind of throwback things on Facebook. You've been playing and performing quite a while. Is that correct?
Yes, throughout high school, I performed classical guitar and was introduced to jazz guitar. So from about the age of 16, I'd say I was performing music.
Well, you mentioned discovering homemade, handmade instruments, and really the legacy of how those came down to us here today. Of course, a lot of people that are building cigar box guitars today aren't necessarily doing it out of necessity. But in the past, of course, people would build these instruments, and in some parts of the world still are, because it's pretty much the only way they're going to be able to get the music that's in them out. And was it kind of that roots and that legacy component of it that drew you to it at first?
Yes, looking back now, I think that there's something very human about creating instruments and sound, and carrying a story through generations using the tools. I remember reading a really great story about the dream of the drum, where it seemed like in different parts of the world, everyone woke up on the same day and had this dream about making a drum, almost a spirit guiding them to go find the animal skin and to stretch it.
And is that
I do think,
is that a tradition, like that idea of is that like a story that has come down as a tradition, or is that more of a modern imagining of how it might have been?
I remember reading it in the book of the percussionist for the Grateful Dead, Mickey Hart. And when I heard that, it all started to make sense. All around the world, you have stringed instruments. You have
Sure.
and then a banjo is the combination of the drum and
drum on a
string.
stick.
It's amazing.
Well, the drum, of course, is kind of the proto-instrument. They think that the drums were made first. However far back in the mists of history that was, that drums came first, because, probably some person with a stick and a hollow log, like, hey, that sounds kind of cool. or
Yep.
an animal hide happened to be stretched out and drying or being tanned or cured, and they gave it a whack, and and that drive to always improve on and create, it sprang up from there, and here we are. Still some work to do, I'd like to think.
Yep, but we love the drums.
Oh yeah,
That's for sure.
and drummers. God, God's own people. So as far as genres of music go, of course, I have seen you perform with jazz ensemble, New Orleans jazz ensembles down there in the city. Seen you post things that are more rock, a little more funk, pretty wide range of things that you get into on that cigar box there, huh?
Yep. Yeah, it's endlessly fascinating to me how everything, all styles of music can be translated to the cigar box guitar.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
Every day I make new connections with it.
Well, what I'd like to do is take a little break from the talking in here and let you play for a while. What you want to play is entirely up to you. And then we'll come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the festival, maybe ask you to play a few more, and then we'll come back again and talk about the educational work that you've been doing down there in New Orleans to help get kids building and playing their own instruments. So what do you have in mind for the first couple of tunes here?
I think I'll start with something called the Whoopin' Blues,
Ooh,
which
all
is
right.
a song that the brass bands in New Orleans play. So, like what I was just saying, translating all different styles, genres of music. Normally, a trumpet would be playing this melody.
Yeah. All right.
And the rhythm would come from the bass drum and the snare drum. But I brought out my looping pedal, the pandemic special solo show. So I think I can have both at once.
Cool. And before you launch in, I know people are going to want to know, tell us what you're playing, how it's strung, how it's tuned.
Yeah, this is a cigar box guitar I made about 3 years ago for the Cigar Box Festival, then called the New Orleans Cigar Box Guitar Festival. But I have a lace matchbook pickup,
Yeah.
which is very, very reliable for me. And
You recently became a lace artist, I believe.
yes, yeah, I'm very
nice.
excited about that.
Yeah.
And I have the Shane Spiel special tuners, basic neck I carved out. But it has 4 strings, tuned Chicago tenor style, so
Okay,
D,
cool.
G, B, E.
Is that one of your more
Yep.
preferred tunings?
Yes, I definitely feel the most comfortable translating everything I know
Yeah.
on the guitar, on the 6-string to this.
Cool. All right. Well, without further ado, take it away.
And that's the Whoopin' Blues.
Very nice, very nice.
Everything coming in loud and clear?
Oh yeah,
Everything?
I haven't seen any. I can hear it great. Nick's the producer over here behind the desks gave me the nod. So I'd like to welcome everyone. Nick, you could bring us back to the shared screen here. I'd like to welcome everyone who's joining in today. Just want to read off a few names. We got Philip Taylor out there. Shane Spiel just joined in. Shane, Brett's got your signature tuners on his 4-stringer there, putting them to good use. I saw Marty Tauber out there, John Matrician, Matthew Simpson, Magic Daddy, down there in the Chapel of Groove in North Carolina. We're glad to see all of you out there, folks, and for joining us today. As has been pointed out, it's not every week that we do more than one broadcast here on the Gitty Gang Show, but this week certainly deserved it. Of course, St. Patrick's Day, on Wednesday, we had to celebrate that. And then today, what better way to kind of launch, pre-launch the Samantha Fish New Orleans Cigar Box Guitar Festival than by having Brett Gardner on, who lives and performs and works down there in New Orleans. Now, Brett, earlier I said you have been at the festival all 5 years. Is that true?
Yes, the first year
Okay,
I
good.
played with a band, the New Orleans Swingin' Gypsies.
Yes, that's
and
right.
it was just very
that's right.
synchronistic. I had just moved to town, and I began playing with that band, and then serendipitously, they were asked to play the festival.
Yeah.
Collins Kirby knew the band leader, and the rest is history. Then I tried to get my own band in there. I almost formed my first band for the sole purpose of being able to perform
Playing
at the festival.
Cool.
Yep. And
Yeah, now that I had forgotten about the Swingin' Gypsies there that first year, that's cool. Yeah, I remember being like, wow, who's that guy playing the cigar box guitar with them? That's good stuff. And so this year, last year the festival was able to happen in January before things locked down. That's when it usually takes place, is the third weekend of January, I believe. This year, of course, because of all the lockdowns and the COVID and such, they decided to move it back a couple of months and take it virtual. Because I was talking with Brett before we went live that New Orleans, the bars and clubs and all of that, have pretty much been shut down for a year, right?
Yep, the anniversary was last week, I believe, of the city lockdown.
Wow. See, I know, in other parts of the country, it's kind of come and gone. Up here, it's gotten a bit looser than it is elsewhere. I didn't really realize that the Big Easy had been on hard lockdown this whole time. And I was telling Brett, a friend of mine is doing some traveling, and I recommended, oh, you got to go to New Orleans, you know. He gets there and nothing's open. So my travel advice is not particularly, might not have gotten 5 stars on that one. So tell us a little bit of what you know about the festival, Brett, and how it's going to be set up and how it's going to run.
So I had the pleasure of editing some of the footage that's going to be featured on the festival. You know, it's 100% virtual.
Yep.
But there's some great performances and exclusive content from everybody on the roster. There's a few people from New Orleans performing, myself, but also Amzie Adams.
Oh, Amzie.
Who's a fan of the Gitty Gang as well.
And we are a fan of his. How can you not be? I've never met anybody like Amzie, that's for sure.
But Samantha Fish and Jonathan Long, Papa Molly, some other very seasoned performers have awesome sets that they're going to premiere at this.
Well, Jonathan Long this is maybe his 3rd year being part of the festival, maybe 4th. When he first came into view, however many years ago it was, I think he performed under the name Jonathan Boogie Long, right?
Yes, for some reason I believe he's retired that name.
Well,
yeah.
You know, you got to grow and adapt as you do so. And of course, everybody knows Samantha Fish, and I believe the Dusk Brothers, who had a really cool entry into the video contest that wrapped up a few weeks ago. They're going to be one of the performers, and it's really Collins Kirby who is the kind of the man behind the curtain. You don't see him pop up very much online, but he is the one who, this whole festival is kind of his brainchild. I met him for the first time at the Huntsville Cigar Box Guitar Festival probably 6 years ago. Wonderful festival down there in Huntsville, Alabama, which is the longest running of all the Cigar Box Guitar Festivals. And April May and the June Bug said, there's a guy I want you to meet who's talking about wanting to do a Cigar Box Guitar Festival in New Orleans. I'm like, well, where better to have a CBG Fest than in New Orleans, the birthplace of jazz and just the nerve center of so much amazing music. And so I got to talking to Collins and helped to sponsor that first year and went down for it. Shane Spiel went down, and what a time we had. And then 2 years ago, I believe, when Samantha Fish decided she really wanted to be a bigger part of it. And yeah, it's really grown into something pretty cool and pretty amazing. So again, for those of you who might have just tuned in, it's a virtual festival, and it's being hosted by mandolin.com. And it's a ticketed event. You need to buy tickets. You can either do a one-night ticket for either tonight or tomorrow night, or get the 2-night package. Sorry, my earbud keeps wanting to pull out of my ear here. Get the 2-night deal. It's like $45, something like that. Definitely worth it, though, to hear all that amazing music. Sorry, got to adjust my electronics here. All that amazing music streamed live right into your home without having to travel anywhere. So, enough talking again, I think. How about what you got lined up next for us, Brett?
I think I could do a funky number called The Chicken Strut.
Sounds good to me.
This one is written by the Meters, New Orleans' own. And that is the Chicken Strut.
And you said that was the Meters wrote that?
Yes, that's written by the Meters. There's some words in there related to chickens, but I skipped that part.
Well, very, very good. Now, One thing I wanted to ask you about, if you wanted to talk about it a little, is your Trash to Not project. I did see, is that the band you're performing with tonight at the festival is named Trash to Not? Is that the name of the band?
Yes, Trastronaut, I guess, is my solo project.
Ah, okay,
Where I'm
gotcha.
not with the Cigar Box Serenaders. That's the full band that I've been performing with in the previous years.
Yes, okay.
And I try to stick to New Orleans repertoire there, but with Trastronaut, I can experiment with some new sounds and new songs.
And you have a page that I am a member of on a site called Ampled, I believe. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yes, ample.com.
Yeah, and you post pretty cool things on there. That's part of segueing into talking about your outreach and educational efforts that you've undertaken down there in and around New Orleans to help spread the word about this idea that pretty much anyone anywhere can build and play their own musical instrument.
Yep, the Trastronaut program, it's something that has sort of shifted over the years, but initially my idea was to have a complete curriculum based around learning how to build an instrument, how to play it, and finding a way to connect with the community around you through that instrument. So I was hosting a lot of, for the lack of a better word, just drum circles with all of the homemade instruments at a park.
Yeah, well, you've posted some good photos of that, I believe. The gas can drums and all sorts of different combinations of trash, basically, turned into music-making instruments, which, of course, the cigar box, reusing used cigar boxes and things like that, coaxing sounds out of them. That's right at the core of what why we're all here, to be honest. And what is it you've got there?
So this is one of my play-by-numbers canjos. So I definitely know the canjo is well documented in the world, especially by you, Ben, with the books you've been writing on it. But with this, I found that having some numbers wood burned into the neck made a really visual or integrative way for children or adults to learn, because it completely puts aside the idea that you need to learn how to read music before you can play music.
Right.
Because everyone knows numbers. So,
and do you have frets on there? That it's unfretted, right?
This has frets, yes.
Okay, yeah.
So it's
there they are.
They're
I was trying to see in the monitor.
Yep, diatonic frets. So
and
it never goes out of tune.
Straight diatonic without the blue note in there, correct? Just to keep it simpler.
Yep. Yeah.
And then you have.
Yep. So I find that this is a great tool for teaching children.
And then, well, with the canjos that we do here and the kits we sell, I recommend to them write the numbers right on the side of the neck. It's your instrument. You don't have to be scared of marking it up, doing whatever you want to it to make it easier for you to be able to play it. So yeah, wood burning the numbers right into the neck. That's a cool way to do it. And then you have canjo tablature of a sort that tells them what one to hit for what note. And
yep. Yeah, I have a little song book with 20 songs. Nice.
And just for, I'm sure somebody is curious, what kind of can was that on that canjo? Looked like maybe an olive oil can? No.
It looks like it was a decorative tin, maybe a tea tin, but it's got some looks like Japanese imagery on it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's the great thing about canjos. You sometimes have to tweak how you build them a little bit for the wider, flatter cookie tins or the deeper, like that's quite a deep, almost cube-like tin versus the wider, flatter ones. But basically, it's a can affixed in some way to a stick with a string running along it, and that can serves as the resonator. So Yeah, good stuff. Tell me more about what you would do in the park. You said you got a bunch of makeshift homemade instruments together, and would people just wander in, or was it more of a performance?
I had a lot of friends that would come and support what I was doing, so there were
So
always musicians there that could hold together the groove.
yeah,
So then the sound would kind of entice people in the park to come up and try the instruments themselves. And we definitely had a sign that said, please come join us.
yeah. Just out of my own curiosity, which park did you do that in?
That was in Tallahassee.
Oh,
it was
okay.
Called Lake. It was at a lake called Lake Ella.
All right. Well, I've never been to. I was thinking it might have been, like the Louis Armstrong Park there or something in New Orleans. 'Cause what better place to do it, eh? Well, that's and then. Do you work with schools and such as well down there, or no?
I've done a few workshops for some
Okay,
schools, but this really is inspiring me to get back to that and make that dream come true.
Yeah, we work, at CB Gitty here, we work with a lot of teachers and a lot of schools who buy kits and parts from us for building instruments with their students. And it seems like we've been getting more and more inquiries lately from teachers, from schools wanting to do that. And I think that's just, especially as with budget crunches and music programs getting cut and scaled back, teachers reaching out and taking that initiative is pretty darn important. Because as I've long said, you can give a kid an instrument, be it a guitar, a ukulele, a recorder, whatever, and tell them, you learn to play that instrument, and maybe a small few, a precious few of them will do so. But if they build it themselves, now it's theirs, they're invested in it, they make it their own, I think there's a much higher chance that some sort of seed will be planted from that. It might not sprout right away, it might take a little while, might come back later in life, but I think it's a great way to plant that seed.
Amen to that.
Yeah, we do our best every day. I just wanted to do another shout out here. Shat Collins, our good buddy Shat Collins, has tuned in from over there across the Atlantic. Good to see you, buddy. We missed you on Wednesday, and the request for
7 Drunken Nights.
Oh wait, somebody requested that.
I did, for Zach.
Oh, that's right. Nick made sure we did 7 Drunken Nights for you. Scott Heron led it, and he only did 5 of the 7
5 Drunken
nights.
Nights, yeah.
To keep things a little more family safe. Some of those Irish songs get a wee bit bawdy. So, anything else you want to say about the educational efforts or Trash to Nod or any of that?
I don't think so.
All right.
Well,
anything coming up that you're excited about, or?
Well, a lot of work was put ahead of time into making this festival happen. So right now I'm excited for this weekend.
Yeah,
to
I
see
guess
it.
that's a good point. Let's get through the weekend and then talk about what's ahead. One thing at a time. All right, well, we've got probably time for 1 or 2 more. If you've got something a little longer you'd want to go into, or do two things, and then we'll come back and call it a week, huh?
Awesome.
Well,
I'll go ahead and
you're just getting started on your work week there, going off to make the music. But anyway, what you got for us?
Yep. Since this is a live show, I might just make something up right on the spot.
Hey, all right, why not?
Let's
What
do it. What's the worst that could happen?
We'll take it all out in post if it goes wrong. Don't worry.
That was the untitled improvisation of today. And I guess I'll finish it off with another funky one. I had some technical difficulties, but let's get it started.
No, he's starting it back up. Never mind.
All right, and that's improvisation number 2 of today.
Yeah, should be live.
Well, thank you. Thanks for. Sorry, we're having a little technical difficulties on this. There we are. All right. We did it. Shane wanted to ask you a little bit more about your pedal setup to get the sounds you're getting. Are you using a auto wah or an envelope distortion or?
Yeah, let's do a little tour.
Hey, all right. I personally, I don't really know enough about pedals to be able to even ask intelligent questions. So hopefully what I just said makes sense.
Okay, so how's the image?
Pretty good.
Well, so I've got. Actually, let's see here.
Sorry, put you on the spot here. This was not pre-rehearsed, folks.
It's all in the joy of the live show.
Yeah, you know.
Okay, so that wah sound was this mini wah pedal I have.
And you operate that one with your foot to get the different sounds you want?
Yes, so that's this sound. I also have an overdrive pedal, which is basically a tube screamer, for those familiar, to give a little of that crunchy sound.
Yeah.
And then I also have a distortion pedal to give this more very distorted sound, as well as a delay pedal to get the delay.
Now, do you ever do anything with an octave pedal to drop it down a little bit, or?
Yeah, while I was just playing those little loops, I thought I should have had my octave pedal to get that bass sound.
Yeah.
But yes,
I know
those
there's
are
some
very awesome pedals.
I don't know if you had a chance to talk to John Nickel when he was playing at the festival in years past, but he builds a cigar box guitar that he'll have a single pole pickup under his low, say low G string, and then a standard pickup under all 3 of the strings, and he puts that single pole pickup out through a separate jack, through an octave pedal into a bass amp. So he's thumping away and getting the bass sound out of one amp and the regular guitar sound out of the other one. And it, it really, and plus the drum pedals, and he's going to town on all sorts of stuff. But it's pretty cool what you
pretty
can
amazing.
do. Yeah. Well,
I've definitely had to look at his. I've had to look at his footage to make sure I knew exactly what was happening, because he has so many sounds going on at once.
A lot going on, yeah. We just about filled our hour for the week, so thanks again for joining us. I'm hoping a large contingent of the Cigar Box Nation CB Gitty group will buy tickets and help support the New Orleans Festival to keep things like this going. As we move into 2021, hopefully we'll be able to get back to some in-person festivals. I know Rusty Taylor down there in Georgia has been working on starting to plan an event for down there and all sorts of other things, and start seeing some light at the end of this tunnel. One more question for you on equipment there, Brett. Tim Henderson has asked, what looper pedal are you using?
Oh yeah, let's see. I'll go ahead and bring it over here.
Shane just posted the link where you can go to get tickets for the festival.
So this is the Boss RC 202.
Ooh, looks fancy.
And there's a lot of features that I almost don't know how to use yet or have forgotten how to use, but there's effects that you can put on the input, and there's effects you can have on the output.
Yeah.
At the very end, I was playing with the filter, like having the frequencies sweep, and that's all on one of these knobs. So it's a very powerful machine. Yep, and you can have at least 2 channels. You can, overdub onto each of them.
Yeah, I need one like that, but just maybe with one extra feature where I can say, Alexa, make me sound good.
Yeah,
she hasn't quite got there yet. Yeah, clean all this mess up. All right, well, thanks again for joining us, Brett. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, being able to have these remote, remote guests and remote performances here on the show is a pretty cool thing. I'd like to thank everyone who tuned in today and who will watch this broadcast after the fact, once it's archived on the Cigar Box Nation page. And I briefly logged into the mandolin.com interface earlier, where the festival will be broadcast later tonight and tomorrow. And there's a chat feature in there where you can type in messages. So I hope to see a lot of names that I recognize once the festival kicks off tonight. And certainly, are you playing both nights, or when do you go on?
Yes,
Brett?
yeah.
Cool, yeah, all right.
Let's see, the first night I'm just getting some interference, but yeah, I'm about in the middle of the show for each night.
Okay, yeah, there it looks like it went away. Okay, well, very good. And again, encourage everyone to help support and enjoy that festival. I know I will be. So, yeah, thanks again, Brett, and Gitty Gangsters. We will see you again next week.